My name is Rubén Chumillas. I have been living in Iceland for 2 years. I came following an intuition when I was living in Madrid. And this time I have learned a lot from the landscape, the place, the people that I have met. And one of the concepts that is more stronger for my idea is the definition of person to work together in a community, small communities, and it's not the occidental conception of person, and I'm more related to the idea of some natives that we are body, society, and nature. We are all together, because I think that the balance between these three concepts could be really stronger. I arrived to Iceland from Madrid, a big city. I was living there for 9 years, working as a designer and art director in a big publishing house, international publishing house. And I felt all those years that my place wasn't that city. And I came to Westfjords, to Þingeyri, a really isolated place in winter. Now in summer it's more open. And I meet different landscapes. This shock was really strong to start to read all the surroundings places in a new way. I see with a new eyes. I read people and what is happening in a new way. And I discovered that I really didn't know anything about my own place, about my own village, and about my own rural area in Spain. Staying here, I have learned a lot about fishing, about farming. I have speak a lot with farmers, and I have learned how the relation between nature and job is really important. The other day I was talking with a farmer about the herb roles and what is the meaning of the numbers in its roles. And she explains to me that the number is related to the place and the valley where the herb was cut. And the reason is that the properties of each herb is different. It helps in a different way to the animals during the winter. And that knowledge about the surroundings, places, mountains, valleys, I realized that I didn't know that about my rural area. And I was a farmer too until I started to study graphic design. And yeah, this is an idea starts to grow in my mind, and it's related. I like philosophy, and Miguel de Unamuno is a famous writer and philosopher, a Spanish philosopher, and he wrote that all the innovation, all the historical events are sustained by the intrahistory. That is, it means that the normal, regular lives sustained all the important events along the history. So normal people helps to maintain the world, helps to all the life go ahead. And 96 years after, Stewart Brand and Brian Eno designed this diagram about the order or a healthy civilization, and they define different layers, and the fast layers are innovative, and the slow layers are stabilize the these dynamics. So nature and culture are the basis of life, human life, and fashion, commerce, infrastructure give a space to innovation. But nature and culture create tradition that help us to think in new things, because some problems are just solved. So that's okay, that's tradition, it's okay. And we can start to think in new solutions. But nowadays, we don't think about tradition as a possibility for innovation. And to rethink the concept of tradition could be helpful today, because understanding tradition as a historical laboratory could help us to know that what really works, what the things that really work survives over time. I'm going to explain this. Tradition and resilience. Traditions are the result of the balance between the territory and the people that inhabit it. And in Spain, now I will be back to my rural area. It's in the middle, apparently, of nowhere. Any Spaniard could be asked by my area, and no one of them could say what conditions, what are the relations with nature, what kind of jobs, or what kind of industry and economic activities. But it's super interesting to rethink about these places. And this is what I have been doing all this time, 2 years here, to understand what my intuition. And this is my village. It's called El Herrumblar. And this is the village where I will be back. I will back to my village, but I'm going to move to this village. The reasons are exciting, because I know my area, I know the economic activity in my area, but 52 kilometers far, there's another village with a different economic activities, and thinking about these economic activities in all the area, I figured out that any village has a difference. It can look all the same, but deep inside they are really different. Okay, I didn't look. I'm going to talk a little bit about El Herrumblar, that is more or less the paradigmatic village around, because this is my village. The population is around 490 people, and it's a rain-fed countryside. Is based on farming and agriculture. Yeah, and agriculture. And we work different plantations. These are almond trees. There's a lot of types of almond trees. It could look the same, but there are differences, and the uses are pretty different too, because it could be used for eat or making oils or whatever. We work too on vineyards. We have a lot of kind of types of grapes. We have a special kind of grape, bobal. It only rise up in this area, and olive trees. Same. We have a lot of kinds of olive trees. Okay, this is the panorama of the landscapes that surround my village, and we have an extreme contrast between summer and winter. Our winter is not so cold like here in Iceland, but the summer is really hard. And we built these shelters in the past with this technique, the brickwork, that here in Iceland I have visited old ruins, and we use it in the same way, all the resources around, to build these shelters or houses. But we use two adobes, this mass of mud and straw, heresy of Arab culture, to construct our houses in the past. Now we can find a lot of houses in my village made this way. They are in perfect state. So, but yeah, we use in the past all the resources around to make life possible. Okay, but if we go from El Herrumblar to Almodóvar del Pinar, these agriculture and plantations are the same all around, but Almodóvar del Pinar, the place where I will be moved to, has a special history in the area, because in the past it was a really rich town, because all the carriage transport generate a lot of, make a lot of money, and it shows nowadays that Almodóvar del Pinar now is in the middle of nowhere, but in the past this point was an strategic location to connect all the country. That is a really important point, because maybe if in the past it was important as a location, maybe today the one of the main highways that connect Madrid and Valencia, all the Mediterranean, it could be a really interesting place to be. Okay. If you remember, El Herrumblar was surrounded by all the countryside, rain-fed, dry, and Almodóvar del Pinar has countryside too for agriculture exploitation, but we have this dark area that is forest of pine trees. They reinvent recently themselves, because when the carriage transport dies because of the creation of engines, all the trucks transport, they start to work using the resources around, and they start to generate this economic model that after years, the industry, chemical industry, use this extracting resin for make dissolvents, paintings, cosmetics, but the origin was vegetal and it wasn't stable, as stable as the mineral form of the same form. The hydrocarbons, I don't know if it makes sense. Mineral is more stable than vegetal, because vegetal is obviously organic. So all the chemical industry moves to the mineral resources and quit all the vegetal resources. But recently, due to the petroleum crisis, all the climate crisis, they started again to work extracting this resin. There's a lot of companies around Spain that have settled in Almodóvar del Pinar, and Portuguese companies too. And the way to work this activity is removing the tree bark and cutting the trunk with these lines that is a bowden? It's a bowden, yes. It's an open bowden, and then the tree, to close the bowden, try to heal itself, generating this resin. So if you open this bowden in one side of the tree starts to exude this fluid. And each bowden could be open 5 years, more or less. And after this time, they let it heal and cut other side of the tree. This kind of exploitation is really good for the forest and the landscape because they clean all around, they take care for fire, and it's a new way to revitalize the village. These are the buckets with the resin, and they boiled it to clean all the dirty particles to send to the companies. This is how they made that the wooden continue exuding this resin, this material that is an acid, so it's pretty aggressive for the tree, but the way to extracting is not the same that the mines or to the mineral exploitation. So, knowing these opportunities and this new way of innovate from the tradition, the mayor of this village contacted me because he knows that I'm here in Iceland, but he didn't know what I'm doing here. And I explained to him that I came to learn how to innovate in rural areas, and he said, okay, it's a really good idea. This is happening in our village, and we have an empty place that we can give you for free if you are able to contribute in some way or create in some way and welcoming space for new ideas and new ways to work in the village. And the history behind you can read the history behind this church, and it's really interesting because a really value settlement arrived to the village in the past, and no one said that settlement was. No one said that he was the owner. So they opened the shipment, and there was a big amount of money, and there was a document saying that the purposes of that money should be to build this church and create a college for poor girls in the village. So there's a strong narrative behind this place. It's a Baroque architecture, and this is the place. It's completely empty, so honestly, I don't know how it could be, but following this intuition is going really good. I came to Iceland and I didn't know what to do or what was the path to follow. And now I was thinking and reading, and I have nothing to lose to try. And the best thing is that we are more ready to try than try when what we do is inconsequential. No one takes care of these villages. No one takes care of my activity there. No one is expecting anything from me. So, okay, I can try to do it. So this project is an hypothesis right now, but I have a plan to follow to try to prove if it could work. So there's different phases. Now I have think in 3 phases. There's this sketch is really simple, but I have another one more complex, obviously. But the first phase is mainly create a design studio. This project is by my own. In this moment, I don't have any support, only from the mayor and this village to use this empty space. But as exchange, I will teach workshops about creativity and digital tools for free. This is a good point because workshops about digital tools will allow to teach people to use the Google Suite, for example, that it will be really helpful in the future for the second phase to work on create an open source library online, interviewing all people mainly to know about these tradition solutions, collect information about the history of the area, and create documents put on the website that I'm designing right now, and share with other centers all around the world. I will translate the documents, obviously, for a professional translator, not me. And the idea is to share what is happening here, and other centers do the same. Because exchanging these results, we can don't waste time to have the same results. And the most important point are the citizen labs, to find solutions and try to achieve innovation goals. Citizen labs are dynamics like we are doing here today. It's almost the same dynamic, but during several weeks. And it's an important concept because citizen labs, it can look new, but in the past in Spain, and probably, I don't know, but probably here in Iceland too, there were meetings of people of the villages that we called hacenderas, facenderas, fecenderas, verandas, but at last, the description of these meetings is the same, that is meet all the people from the village, women, men, children, to solve a concrete problem that helps to all the community. So in the past, it was a traditional event to do these hacenderas that today could be citizen labs. This is the main idea that is in my head that I'm constructing, because we have some solutions nowadays. We are creating solutions that in the past just was created. So if we research about our history, probably we could save a lot of time. And these 2 phases are focused on the community, the locals. maybe the first 2 years, I will be working with them, creating a solid relationship between us. I would like that the place be welcoming for them, and then the third phase is to open the space as a co-working, that people from all around the world, if they want to stay with us, came and work with us about all these processes, or maybe a new one, or their own processes. But what I have experienced here in Iceland is that I have learned a lot of the people that I have met, and all the feedback that I have, I'm receiving these days. And I think it could be interesting to have another point of view. But how to apply design thinking, human-centered design, user experience, or any process from scratch? I was a teacher in the design school in Madrid. When I studied, I was teacher too, so it was really fun. My strong skill is experimental processes, methodologies, and I can draw any process depending on the aim. I can design any kind of process by phases. So the way to work with people that is not designer, they don't need to know about these processes. But if you make visual the problem, probably it will be more easier to solve. So this, Arnar, please. This diagram is, I think, is the best to work, because you can change any concepts or definitions, but is the more complete, because it's used for user experience design, user interface design, and all the teams that work in this kind of projects are biologists, designers, psychologists, sociologists, and they don't need to know how to design. But if all these people know how is the map of the project, it's easier to achieve the goal. How to go from the beginning of the problem to solve to a solution that no one knows what is the right solution at the beginning. And these forms is about diverging, it's like a brainstorming, choose the best solution in a very simple way, and knowing what is the real problem or how to solve is design the solution until have the product, answer, solution. It could work in any field. So this is a very simple sketch. I have designed workshops to work with people. It's just design to create dynamics of community. I have started to design the dynamics for citizen labs, and I have started to talk by Facebook groups. That is not very, Facebook groups is not used too much in Spain, but I have learned here in Iceland that are very helpful. And I have started to work with and talk with all people from a village, and it's been really exciting, because they are very, they are willing to these proposals, and it's really interesting. And this is an hypothesis, as said. Everything is designed. I have talked with the mayor. I'll be back in Spain 14th of September. We are going to meet. We are going to visit the place and to start to work on it. So it will be interesting to meet again after 2 years. So thank you very much.